Holy shit, guys. What a Mexico City Grand Prix this morning was. And there's a lot of different outcomes that we're going to go over. And let me start by saying, damn, as an Oscar fan, fucking damn, because he's in trouble. He's in big trouble. But there's some excellent standout performances, so let's get straight into it, all right? The winner, obviously, got to give credit where credit's due. So Norris drove a brilliant weekend. It was pretty much a Grand Slam weekend for Norris. He had the pace, he used it, and never looked back. Someone who's not known for their starts was able to have a banger of a start. So great job by him. And he is seriously putting Piastri under immense pressure now, leading the championship by 1, as we can see. So Piastri's now down 1, and the gap, I think, is 36 to Verstappen after his also well-run race. But, wow, unbelievable implications for this with 4 to go, and Piastri not seeming to have the pace. I mean, good haul of points for Haas, and obviously with Behrman and Ocon, and the Racing Bulls obviously slipped a little bit there, but that was the major changes in the order. So the race rating for me personally, I thought it was pretty good. It was a little bit boring in the middle. We had a bit of DRS trains going on, but there was enough delta in the tyres and enough strategy variance. And this is the first time Pirelli, tip my hat to you for that. The skip in the compound has worked because no one wanted to touch those hards. No one wanted to get on the hards, and it paid dividends because we had a 2-stop and drivers undercutting each other. Verstappen went long, so it left us with a lot of on-track action because of differences in strategy, as well as frustration for Oscar and obviously Russell as well, but which we'll get to that. So for me, definitely an 8 out of 10 race. For a modern F1 race, this is probably this type of race you'd want to have. You know, if the cars aren't going to overtake, at least the strategy can bring in a few question marks and make it challenging for the drivers, which it absolutely did. And the team had to make some tough decisions. So we will discuss that there. So let's just go through my predictions. I did get pole right for Norris, but obviously Piastri was nowhere to be found in that qualifying. So pole to Norris, winner was Piastri. No, that was Norris. Class drive Gasly. Alpines was still garbage. Didn't matter about the straight line speed. And I said run wide would be Bortoletto when Hulkenberg. I said Hulk was in better form recently, but it wasn't the case. Hulk retires on lap 25 with engine dramas. He wasn't necessarily having a bad weekend, but it wasn't standing out. And Bortoletto scored points, so shockingly wrong there from me. But I'm glad that he scored points. So we'll go through qualifying quickly a little bit. All right. The thing that got me in qualifying was the Ferrari pace. Verstappen wasn't really on it, but we had Piastri, who was just well off the whole time. Norris looked comfortable, unlike Piastri. And then in Q3, Leclerc's lap, I was like, oh shit, Leclerc is going to steal pole from Norris. Because he hit purples, and that this was before Norris's final clutch lap, which he did phenomenally. And Leclerc was like, fuck. I was like, shit, this guy's going to take pole. And then Norris had it comfortably. shit at home. Piastri was a little bit nowhere, which was like, oh no, this is not going to go well. But in the end, his pace was a bit better in the race, which we'll get to. So let's talk about the race, because there's so much, like, qualifying it was good, but the race was there's so much to unpack in the race. I don't want to waste too much time on quali. So Norris, yep, amazing stuff. Leclerc, second. Now, a bit of a controversial second for Leclerc in this one because of the way that he got to second place. Obviously, T1 was very chaotic. We had Lawson who got damaged and ended up retiring as well. He had a collision with Sainz. And, yeah, Leclerc and Hamilton and Verstappen went 3 wide into turn 1. Leclerc got squeezed. No, Hamilton got squeezed. Verstappen was trying to send it around the outside, couldn't hang on, just bowled a huge wide. And then Leclerc sort of got contact on Hamilton, which, you know, if the roles were reversed, so this is what everyone was saying. So Leclerc gets in front because of that, right? Because of that argy-bargy. And people are saying, like, would Ferrari give the spot back if it was Hamilton claiming that position in that manner? And that really made me think. I was like, holy shit, I don't even know the answer to that question. And I don't know what to... I honestly was like, I thought that, I was like, I have no words for that, because I get the feeling that they would. And then obviously, you know, as the race goes on, Hamilton then gets into it with Verstappen, who bowls a wide again. And now this time on the second chicane on Mexico City, the GP circuit, they have that runoff in the chicane where if you run wide off the track, you need to drive through those past the you know, the bollards and then through the escape road to come back onto the track. Hamilton, I feel like, got pushed out just a little bit by Verstappen. So I think, to me, he was just, okay, I'm pushed out wide. I'm off the track. I'm running through the grass now because I've been pushed out wide, not because he just missed the corner. Like, he wasn't trying to gain an advantage. He got pushed out wide. So to me, that would be him going, all right, I'm pushed out wide. I just run through and play on because I've sort of been dogged here. And that's what he was thinking. But then what he did was he half committed to the alternate route, or the Joker section, as you might call it. He like half committed to that. And then after he went around the first part of it, he just decided to cut straight through. And that's where the stewards were like, no, you can't do that, mate. Nice try, buddy. Unlucky. And we'll slap you with the 10 seconds. So that really set things off for Hamilton, which was unfortunate because he was having a pretty good weekend. He set a good lap in qualifying and he was likely on for a podium, and he got into it with Leclerc in the chaotic start. But then obviously Behrman, taking advantage of that, slips into a podium contention, and then he ran his race and he was matching the pace of the front runners. He was really, really doing well. And I reckon he's a great talent. Ferrari must be looking at that going, damn. He, obviously, a career best result for him. And then later in the race, as they were, because they took their second pit stop early. Later in the race, when Behrman was sort of running out of tyres, they knew Verstappen was coming and they elected the pit and tried to come back at him. Which I was like, damn, like, surely we know how these cars are, you just want to roll the dice and try to defend Verstappen. And maybe you would have got that P3, but obviously the team didn't think so. It was still going to be very unlikely either way with the tyre delta that Max had. But that was what it is. What it is. And then obviously Verstappen drove a different strategy. So he started on the medium tyre, which was very interestingly a lot worse than the soft as a race tyre, which was pretty crazy to see. I don't remember the last time I've seen that. And Verstappen ran a little bit longer with the others in the first stint, and then he just came aggressively, and I was like, oh, Verstappen could lose out here. But then once everyone else came back in for their second stop, and Max put on a great couple of overtakes, and that was him well done. He got up the order and has closed the gap in a little bit more to Piastri, but not Norris, obviously, because Norris won. So great driving from Verstappen, and honestly a good strategy call. And I like that Red Bull and McLaren, and then Mercedes and the other McLaren and Haas all had different strategies. So it was great to watch like that. Next, the Mercedes. Let's talk about the Mercedes. I feel like they'd be a little bit gutted to not get away with beating Piastri. I don't know if they work together well enough. They didn't use each other to protect each other from Piastri's DRS. So they didn't try to keep within a second, and they were sort of going a little bit head to head, the two Mercedes guys. I mean, Russell, we saw obviously complaining about the pace of his teammate and wanted to have the position swapped, which they did. And then they swapped it back at the end of the race, because as soon as they swapped, he just did nothing. Like he didn't go up the order. He didn't do shit. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but it was weird. But also, people are saying afterwards, like, why did we wait 5 laps of tyre life, 5 laps of quick pace to swap positions? And then I could have held off Piastri, or I could have had a go at Behrman. So we'll never know the answer to that. But George Russell, I can see why he's upset there. Like, if you're going to do it anyway, just bloody do it. Like, go and get it done. And then if it doesn't work, you can swap him back. And Kimi can still run with him if he wants to. It's not like he can't. It's not like he has to just drop off his pace all of a sudden. So I'm not sure there. If I was Mercedes, I would probably just swap them straight away and then see what happens. And then potentially Oscar wouldn't have got around George. So then we go to Oscar Piastri. Now, Oscar, I feel like, honestly, with his situation, with how he's going at the moment, he drove a good race. He started 7th, finished 5th. I honestly didn't expect him to get up to 5th. So the way the race was running in those first 2 stints, I felt so bad. But now, I mean, just imagine the frustration of being Piastri, stuck behind 2 cars, and you just on there, you just look staring at their wing the whole stint, and you're not making any mistakes. They're not making any mistakes. You're faster, but you can't get around them. But the team did a great job to box and undercut them in the pits. The McLaren pit crew did a great stop there, which saved Piastri's race a little bit, honestly, and then helped him out immensely, because he was going nowhere and it was so tough out there to pass. The McLaren isn't like a super dominant car in traffic, I've noticed. Like, it sort of reminds me of the 2020, 2021 Mercedes. There was sort of, that car was always so good from the front, but once it got into a pack and followed, the car wasn't designed to follow, mate. It was designed to win and designed to drive fast in fresh air. So once, Hamilton a few times got stuck in a bit of traffic, they did usually more so Bottas, obviously, but they did find it more difficult to overtake because the car isn't tailored to follow closely. And I'm noticing that the McLaren doesn't really have that superpower like, the RB does or did from a few years ago. So, yeah, I felt extremely bad, and I was getting extremely mad for Piastri, but he did a great job. He did a great stint to recover that, and he ended up 2 places. So you got to be sort of walking away this weekend saying, well, that could have been a whole lot fucking worse. And thank God it wasn't. And I got 4 to go. I got to outscore my teammate in 4 races. Like, you can do it. And so can Norris. Don't get me wrong. So can Verstappen. So I'm not picking teams. I mean, personally, I'm Piastri, but, objectively, they all can do it. They're all capable. But with Piastri's pace, no idea what's going on. I don't know what to think about that. Like, 0.6, 5, like half a second just does not seem like a driver can just lose. So I just don't understand what to think. I don't want to say they're tweaking with anything because I don't think they are. But I just also can't explain how he could lose half a second. And he says he feels fine. He says everything feels fine. And Stella's like, oh, he's just losing a little bit in every corner. But how can you just all of a sudden start to lose a little bit in every corner? I don't know. I don't know. It just seems so off. But this is the cards we're dealt. This is the cards Piastri's dealt. So can he make it work and win a damn world championship? We'll find out. But yeah, and then obviously Hamilton, tough with the penalty and tough with the start of the race with Leclerc, and he probably should have been up in a podium position, but that's motor racing for you, mate. So Ocon as well with the points, and Bortoletto in the points as well. So man, what a race that was. Very disappointing though in the last couple of laps that we got that VSC. Supposedly, there is some sort of... Oh, actually, I don't even know. I heard that there was there's an automatic protocol when something happens to the car like that, and that's why we got the VSC. But even the commentators were frustrated that the VSC didn't end earlier, so that we could get maybe 1 or 2 laps racing, because we didn't get to see that Behrman Verstappen, Behrman Piastri or Verstappen Leclerc battle, because they were climaxing, and Verstappen Leclerc would have been such a good last lap scrap. But it is terribly unfortunate, but it is what it is. And we're going on to the next one, Brazil. Oh my God. What a championship we got on our hands. Obviously I'm biased to Piastri personally, but hopefully for the sake of the championship, he could just at least finish the series in form. I mean, even if he doesn't win, it would just be tragic if he just lost it like this. Just had a complete downfall. But if he comes back, which I hope he does, and he's fighting hard, even if he loses, he did everything he can, I feel like. So I can't wait to see what happens. Who's going to be quick? Who's going to not be? Brazil could throw some weather. Qatar is pretty stable, so get around it and look forward to it. So we'll see you next time for the preview. Take care.